Hello, hello.
Hello.
We are on again. Today we are talking about how people are losing the will to live
Oh no.
because their house payments are going up. They can't afford groceries. They can't afford their car. They can't pay their student loans, so they're just not going to pay them. So we're going to talk about some steps to take to deal with that today because it is, according to the internet, a big problem. Now, whether
And everything on the internet is right.
well, that's what Abraham Lincoln said. You know, if Abe said it, he cannot tell a lie.
Yeah.
So I am not going to put the videos up here just for copyright issues. I know there's a lot of people who do reaction videos and stuff, but it's kind of up in the air if those are going to start taking people's YouTube channels down. So I'm not going to put the videos up there. So I'm just going to explain. There are a lot of videos where people are really freaking out, and for good reason. I totally understand. They keep saying things like, my mortgage just went from $1,500 a month to $3,500 a month. I don't know what I'm going to do. My mortgage just went from $3,500 a month to $7,400 a month, the lady said. $7,400 a month.
Sus.
And so she was like, I don't know what we're going to do. And I'll tell you, the same thing happened to us, actually. All these people have one thing in common, and the same thing happened to us in Colorado. And so these people are on TikTok and wherever, just really bemoaning the fact, how are we going to pay our mortgage now? We just don't know what we're going to do. So what happened was, nope, not variable rate mortgages, believe it or not. What happened was they bought a house. It was a new build. They had the taxes on that house from empty land. Then when they put their $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 house on the property, the next year when the taxes came around, then their property taxes doubled, tripled, quadrupled.
From what to what?
Well, I mean, it was all over the place. One lady was $1,500 to like $3,500. Another was $3,500 to $7,400
per a month.
Yeah.
Where is property tax $7,400 a month?
New Jersey, easy.
That's like $100,000 a year for property tax.
Oh yeah, New Jersey, easy.
Why would anyone live in a place where property tax was that high?
And well, they vote for it. So the problem is when you have a new house like that and you build it, they're telling you on your mortgage and all that what the taxes are going to be on empty land. And this actually happened to us in Colorado. We built our house in Colorado and everything was fine. And then our mortgage went up like $600 or $700 a month. This was, of course, 10 years ago, 13 years ago. And we were like, what the heck's going on? And here's the thing, though. We knew that would happen. And we asked our realtor, we were like, we want to make sure that there are no special property taxes and that these are right and we're not going to be caught in a surprise. Oh, no. Oh, there's nothing. Are you sure? Oh, no. Well, come to find out, not only did our property taxes go up, but we had a special assessment because they had put all new roads and fire hydrants and lights and all that kind of stuff in our neighborhood. That property taxes for the same value for our house in an old neighborhood would have been $1,500. Ours was $3,500.
But that's a year. But that's still expensive. Yeah.
I was ticked because we specifically asked, we do not want this. And we were told, oh, no. So I can kind of feel for these people. Now, all of these people said, oh, yes, I know. I should have known better, and I didn't I didn't look into it more and all of that. And I totally understand. But in our case, we did know better. Mike was a real estate appraiser. He was a real estate appraiser. We were not stupid in this. And they flat out lied to us. And so a lot of these people, like this one lady said, we did ask. It was the same situation as ours. And she said, we did ask. And they lied and told us that was what it's going to be. And it wasn't. So the problem is these people are getting hopeless because now what do I do? I can't afford this. I don't know what's going to happen. People are losing their food stamps. I just don't know what I'm going to do. How am I supposed to support myself? So we're going to talk through some of the steps to take and work yourself through this. And with the food stamps, okay, think this through. If you have lost your food stamps, that means your income has gone up in some way. So that's actually a good thing. Now, I totally understand there is that line between food stamps and paying your bills where you're making $15 or $20 more and you lose all your food stamps, but it's not enough to pay your bills. I get that. But what do? Well, when you are on food stamps, you buy the necessities so that when you lose them, you will be able to have a stockpile of food to get you through later. You don't go buying the steak. You don't go buy shrimp. You don't buy all that stuff, all the fancy stuff, all the pre-made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. It's ridiculous that you can buy pre-made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on food stamps. Seriously? It's just ridiculous. If you do not have time to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich, even as a single mom, something is seriously wrong somewhere and you need to start figuring some things out. You really do. The home mortgage and higher property taxes. Okay, what would you do in that situation? For us, we sucked it up. We knew that Colorado was a really good place to buy at the time. We knew that our house was probably going to go up in value, and it did. We ended up making $300,000 profit on that house. So yeah, it was definitely worth it. At the time, we didn't know that. We were taking a risk in our investment. But you've got a few choices. One, you can just cut back on other areas, sell the car, get rid of the car payment that you don't need. You can cut back on your groceries. You can cut out the kids' activities and then use that money to pay for your house if that's where you really want to stay. You're going to be able to do it. The next thing is you might be able to move. Or you might just have to move. You may have no choice but to move. And it may take you a few months, 6 months, whatever. But if you start getting in that situation and you decide you're going to move, do it right away. Start packing up stuff and just start getting it done. Don't let yourself start going into a hole.
Jim says we even sold our house during a tornado.
I know, we did too.
No, I think he means us.
Oh, us? Yeah, I know.
There
was literally a tornado right behind our house. And we have a picture of it. It was on one of our videos.
Yeah, we have a video with that. That was pretty funny. It's funny in retrospect.
We were trying to sign the papers for the contract for our house, and our realtor was our neighbor, and he said, what
are you doing?
Looking up the tornado picture.
I have it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
And here it is. So right there, that's our house. Go closer or further? I can't tell. Further. There. That's the picture of our house. There's a tornado. That was the day we were trying to get the contract on our house.
The people that were buying it were in our house, and we were in a neighbor's house.
Who's our realtor, yeah.
Bit just kind of down the street slightly.
And so that picture was taken from our realtor's house that looks straight down at ours.
Nancy says, oops, house is now relocated. Hang on.
I told Mike, I said, I am going to be so ticked off if that tornado hits our house as we are signing before we sell that stupid thing. So anyway, we decided to stay in our place when our property taxes went up because we knew that Colorado was a good place. We had specifically moved there to help out because our brother-in-law had cancer and we knew that our niece was going to need some help when he died. So we specifically had a purpose for staying there. Could we have moved? Yes, we could have moved if we wanted to, but we decided to go ahead and stay. So when you are in these situations, I don't want you to panic. You can cry, you can scream, whatever. Give yourself 24 hours. Be upset. After that 24 hours, get your butt in gear and start figuring out the solution to the problem. I'm noticing a huge trend in people just wallowing in their problems and not taking action to improve it. And I think this year's videos is going to be all about your choices have consequences. And they're going to either be positive or negative, but they have consequences. Because people just are not understanding that the choice you make today is going to be the consequence that you have tomorrow, whether it's good or bad. And it's the same with buying a house, and it's the same with food stamps. It's the same with all of these things. And you're going to have to make decisions to improve your life or let your life go down the toilet. You can make the decision, I'm just going to be a victim the rest of my life and, oh, the government's just after me. Or you can say, nope, I'm going to figure out what to do. All right, before I get to the next thing, guys, our Mother's Day sale is happening right now. Our Dining on a Dime cookbooks right here, volume 1 and volume 2 are on sale, 50% off for the sets of 2. You need the lower third. And our gluten-free, dairy-free edition, if you buy the set of the 3, including that one, it's also 50% off. Or 40% off individual books, including, well, do we have price books left?
There are still some left.
Okay.
Not a lot, though.
Okay, including our price books. This is how you save money on groceries right here. We have the foods listed down this way and the stores up here, and you just write the price in pencil, and then you just keep track of sales. So like today, I got steak for $5.99 a pound because the doctor wants me to try carnivore now. So I'm going to go do that. I don't know why people are hollering about these diets being that expensive. I sat and figured, and I'm supposed to eat 1 pound to 1.5 pounds of meat a day, which is going to cost about $175 to $200 a month if I eat steak.
Would that be your full
and
amount
shrimp
for you a month, or that much more than we currently pay?
No, for me, just me personally.
But the $100 we pay for you personally is going up to $175, or it's going up to $270?
No, it's going up to $175 to $200.
Okay.
Well, it's not that big of a deal. For most people, that would be the price of their medication.
I'll have to decide. Maybe I'll keep you. I don't know. We'll see if that's your value or not.
Am I worth it? So grab our cookbooks, guys. Right now, they're on sale. livingonadime.com. This only happens twice a year. Easy recipes to get you in and out of the kitchen quick. I have lots of, you can go to our sales page and you can see every single recipe. We flipped through the entire book on our sales page, and you can see every single book or every single page of all the books. All right, we're going to get to your comments and questions. Please post them in the comment section, and Mike will send them to me now that he has. While I'm getting that, Mary says, my friend always says, focus on the solution, not the problem. Yeah, It's okay to be upset about the problem. It's okay. But don't stay there. Well, you cannot stay there.
And there are a lot of things that you can change. Taxes are not one of them unless you move. You can move to change your taxes, but things like mortgages, you can change that. Interest rates, you can change that. You can change all sorts of things. But taxes, as long as you keep that house, they are what they are. I mean, you can go and dispute them if it's out of line with the market, but you can't change. You can't just not pay it or shop around to another company that gives you lower taxes.
But there's a lot of people, like with our house in Colorado, in that same situation. They had kids in sports to the tune of $20,000 a year. I went garage selling with Mom this morning. Oh, you guys want to see my garage sale finds? Type 1 if you want to see my garage sale finds. Type 2 if you could care less.
Oh, there you go. She's really leaving it wide open there.
But Mom went back to see my grandma, and they had this Mother's Day special thing at the care home that she's at. And they do want to see it.
2.
Oh, stop. And they were talking with a couple there, and the couple said, they said, get this. I think she said they had, I can't remember if it was 12 or 15. We were talking different numbers about different things. So it was either 12 or 15 grandkids. I can't remember, but it was a minimum of 12 grandkids. She said the grandparents, listen to this.
Okay, sorry. I'm listening and not looking at comments.
They go to every single game.
The grandparents do?
Of their grandkids. Including going out of town. Wow. After they were done with the Mother's Day dinner, they were getting on a plane and leaving to go to California to watch their grandkids play ball. 12 of them. They said, all we do is we spend pretty much all our time every day going to sports for our grandkids.
Actually, I'm surprised because when we were in school, I was on the football team and some other teams, and we would travel around to the schools in our town, and occasionally to a school as far as 30 miles from town in a bus. But nowadays, so many parents we talk to, 10 times a year, they're flying to another state or
insane
some other place real far away, and thinking, how much money? Like, if you're having any money trouble at all, there's a huge hole in your bucket there in flying to all these places. I mean, sports are good for certain things, but I wouldn't fly to other states all the time for that. That's just really, really expensive. The thing.
I'm sure if I ever have grandkids, which I don't think I will, but if I ever have grandkids, I'm sure I'll love them. I'm sure I will love them. But if I had 12 of them going to games, I would be like, Susie, this is your week. Frank, this is your week. Alfred, this is your week. Shaniqua, this is your week. Jehoshaphat, this is your week. That's what I would do. And, sorry. Oh, I didn't get him. There.
Oh, you just spewed the water on everything.
Sorry.
It's not like we have electronics around here.
And they made great fly swatters. I got it. Well, he was going to be in the middle of the camera.
I know. Then you just wipe off the phone and the computer.
I just sprinkled it. I just sprinkled it. It's not that bad.
Headphones.
It was a sprinkling. They've gotten more wet just being out in the rain.
Yeah, whatever.
But there's a happy medium between those things that you can, go to some things. But I'm sorry, if I'm a grandparent and my entire life is taken up with games with grandkids, it ain't going to happen. I'm just telling my kids right now, it ain't going to happen. I will be more than happy to go to concerts and all that kind of stuff. But have mercy. That is
Oh, well,
absolutely
if your game
ridiculous.
is in another state, we might one time go.
Or if it's a championship or,
Yeah, but in general, I would say, hey, have mom FaceTime us the game.
Yeah. We'll buy you a tripod and we'll send you with a tripod. All right, we're going to get to your comments and questions. Jet says her basement got a lot of water in it. Thankfully, everything is high up. Oh, Janet, I am so sorry. I cannot imagine how bad that is. My friend that on Tuesday I was helping, and I'm going back Wednesday, I guess. Wednesday I was helping, and next Tuesday I'm going back to help her. She had the same thing, and it is a mess. We had Poopageddon 24 twice in 2024 twice in our basement, and thankfully we caught it before it got too far. But let me tell you guys,
one of us, was it me? I think I just happened to walking down the hall in the basement and seeing it just start to come out of the room with the water heaters and stuff. Like,
yeah.
Whoa, what's going on here?
That was definitely a God thing, and it happened twice. What the heck is going on? Can you go get on affiliate? I can't get out of Amazon. It won't let me out. Oh, there it is now. They changed it. Okay, hold on.
You're on the wrong account for affiliates.
I know. That's why I was switching over.
Do you want me to do that, or you want to?
Let me show you this little device that we got, though, and we tested it, and it worked. We had something happen, and it actually worked. It is. Oh, come on. Just get up. Amazon.
Are you wanting to get a link, or are you wanting to show somebody?
I'm getting a link because
I can do the link.
People need to know this. Okay, which one did we get? It was
the one we have is for Vivint.
Oh, the one is from our thing. Okay, but let me just show you guys this. I'll just find one that's really highly rated. Here's one that's really highly rated. Okay, this thing is a water alarm, and what it is. Showing information. Okay. What it is you put it where you might have water coming in. And here it is. And we're going to put a thing on here. Now, there's a link for it. Oops, I forgot to put affiliate link. And it says it's frequently returned, but we've had really good luck with ours. So just go through and find something similar to this water alarm here. And it's caught it. Our basement was leaking, and ours caught the problem. So we were able to go figure out, wait a minute, why is what's leaking in our basement? And our foundation was leaking. There was a hole in our foundation that wasn't plugged up, and it was leaking.
There's a hole that a pipe had previously come through, and they did not seal it very well. And what happened is during the spring thaw last year, there was a lot of water. The water table was really high for that, and it started to come in through that hole.
So I would put one behind your washer or underneath your washer. I would put it by your water heater, under your sinks, behind your toilets. It is way worth the investment to buy 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 of these things, to spend $150 to spend on 5 or 6 or 8 of these things. I don't know however many you need. Then to have all the repairs from the mold and drywall. Let me tell you. And
the way these things work is it's a little, she showed you a picture of it, but it has 2 little metal contacts on it, and you just set it near wherever you think that there could be water someday. And when the water gets between them, it creates an electrical circuit, and then the thing goes off, which is pretty brilliant.
It's great. Amazing
We've
Grace.
actually tested it more than once, because another time one of the kids did something. They went in there and I think they poured some water in that drain or something, but it happened to get just a little bit of it on the sensor.
Yeah. Amazing Grace says she's getting spoiled with another live show. Thank you. Jim says great cookbooks with lots of extras. Thank you so much. Yeah, we have tons of tips in there. Beauty, bath and beauty, cleaning, kids. Guys, I don't buy cleaning supplies. Well, except for garage sales when I'm doing it for a show. But all of my cleaning supplies Those are my recipes that I used for years. Now, I was doing some garage sale hauls, and I showed how I got cleaning supplies for free, 25 cents, $1, all that. So I have those I'm using up now. But before that, that's all I used was my homemade disinfectant cleaner, my homemade window cleaner. They work great. Naomi, I'm in California and our mortgage has increased because of insurance. Yeah, I believe it. She said our payment's up $500. Yeah, that's another problem.
Well, and especially if you live in a place where there are like wildfires or floods or something like that, some of the insurance companies are starting to not insure people in areas that are high risk for that because the cost is so much, because the probability of your house burning is a lot higher.
Tanya, Dave Ramsey thinks that you should get a 15-year mortgage, but it seems difficult to get a good one at that rate. What's your opinion? My opinion is don't. If you cannot afford it, just get a 30-year mortgage and pay it off early. That's what we have done every single time. We have paid it off early. We've just added double, triple, quadruple payments when we could. But we would rather take and not have the risk of overextending ourselves than to have a high mortgage payment in case something like last year where we had close to 6 figures in medical bills, then we're not stuck with a mortgage that we can't afford.
So Dave recommends that you do it in 15 years because people aren't disciplined enough to pay their mortgages off early.
Yeah, we are.
You might get a slightly better interest rate on a 15-year mortgage, and you would pay a lot less interest because they make you pay it off early. But if you get a 30-year mortgage, you get a lower you get a lower payment. Sorry, you get a slightly higher interest, but you get a lower payment. And if you pay extra on that mortgage consistently, then you can pay it off just as fast as the 15-year or faster. So I would get the 30-year and just pay a lot extra on it, like Tara was saying, because if you have some kind of family emergency or something, then your payment itself is lower. So, and you end up with the same. If you pay off the principal early, you end up not paying all the extra interest because as you pay off the principal, the interest is calculated every month, so it goes down.
Yep. So I have no problem with the 30-year mortgage. Rochelle says New Jersey is yearly property tax, but billed quarterly. Yep. Squeaky Melissa says I live in New Jersey. It's getting bad. A 2-bedroom apartment is $2,300 a month. Oh my goodness.
That sounds like Colorado then.
That's nuts.
Colorado's about that, isn't it?
No, New Jersey's worse than Colorado.
For 2-bedroom apartment? Well, I thought a 1-bedroom.
Oh, for apartment
15,
prices?
1800.
Yeah, about apartment prices. Yeah. I thought you meant the taxes. Joyce, one of the reasons I left New Jersey 10 years ago was because of property taxes. Yep. She said back then almost $9,000 a year for less than a quarter acre. Can you imagine $9,000 a year on our house in Colorado? That's crazy. Joe says insurance increases. Yep, that's another problem. Michelle says, Tara, are you talking about Uncrustables? Yes, I was talking about the peanut butter sandwiches for the Uncrustables. Yep. Sarah, my mortgage is, you can say the next one, is the fixed rate. I paid $500 for fixed, but you're right. My taxes went up $111. When do you think interest rates are going to go down? Do you have to pay closing costs when you refinance? Yes, you do have to pay closing costs when you refinance. When I looked into it, not for us, but for someone else several years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago, it was around $3,000 to $3,500 to refinance.
That much?
Yeah. And shop around different banks and stuff like that. You may be able to find a better deal. But when do I think interest rates are going to go down? I don't know. Honestly, they're not that horrid now. They have been way worse in the past.
6.5 right now,
yeah.
Isn't it?
They've been way worse in the past. So they're not horrid now. But I don't know if they will go down. You can't, it's a guessing game.
So in the past, we refinanced a house. And what I would suggest that you do if you're thinking about it, well, first of all, interest rates, I think President Trump was hoping that the Fed would lower rates this last time. Then they just decided not to just leave them the same. So right now the interest rates are going to stay the same for a little while, but interest rates need to go down more than 2 or 3 points for it to be worth it to refinance, really. And what you can do, which is what we did, is you can actually look at how much your interest is per month currently. And then you can calculate what it would be with the lower rate and then figure out how much you're saving each month. And then, you can figure out whatever the closing costs are and see how much the difference is. When we did it, it was like $1,500 to do the refinance. And we looked at it, and based on the savings we were going to get, it took us like 9 months. If we had the mortgage for 9 months, we would end up paying less from then on. So it's not that hard to calculate that stuff. So that would be how to find out what would be a best thing. But I would, if the rates don't go down though, I wouldn't worry about it for now. I would just pay extra as much as you can. So, and when you pay extra, you pay your mortgage payment, and then there's a thing somewhere on there. It should have an option for additional principal. Always put the extra on additional principal, because that's actually paying off the house. If you make an extra mortgage payment, it's not paying off the house. It's just paying the interest early on the next payment.
JJ Kraft says 30-year mortgage costs you almost 2 times the price paid for the house in interest. Yes, if you wait 30 years to pay it. We have never done that though. So, for us, no, it hasn't, because we are disciplined enough that from the get-go, even if it's $10, we start putting that on our mortgage right away.
And if you have trouble controlling yourself, then get the 15-year.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Kimberly says that was pretty awesome video of you guys standing there with the tornado in the background. Jim said it made an exciting exit video. Yeah. Lorraine says we did in New York State, but we still have 22 years on a 30-year mortgage, changed it to 15-year mortgage at a much lower rate. So we were willing to pay the closing costs, which weren't bad at the time. Yeah, I'm not sure that might have been worth it, but Karen, they don't want to do anything to help themselves because they want someone else to do it for them. Yes, it's a lot of people. Ellen, I officially have a copy of all our books at Living on a Dime to Grow Rich. So when will Tara have the next book ready? I don't know. I mean, I actually have it all written. And this winter, while Dave was in between jobs, he helped me typeset it. So, but I don't know. I don't know if I'll get it done. Surely, I am a grandmother now, and Pram UK with car seat costs £1,100. It's worth it though. It's nice. Holy moly, £1,000 for a car seat and a stroller? That's crazy.
Wow.
Michelle says volume number 1 and 2 is what she has. And the old spiral. Wow. Thank you. Yeah. Volume 1 is the red one. Volume 2 is the blue one. They are totally separate cookbooks, but they can be used together. It's just volume 2 is all the recipes I couldn't fit in volume 1. 50% off our sets if you want to get the 2-book set or the 3-book set, including our gluten-free, dairy-free edition. That is also Greener Pasture says carnivore diet is worth the extra cost. Yeah, if it actually does something for you. I tried it 2 years ago and I gained 10 pounds. So I'll try it again. I will give it one more try. I'm not real hopeful, but I'm going through all the steps again for the doctor. Kimberly, I've learned that drama in life is trauma response from something in your past that you need drama. The other side is some people need absolutely calm. I'm the calm. My sister is all trauma. Yeah.
The thing about the drama is people think it's sort of I think a subconscious thing, but they think this is going to, if I'm really super overly dramatic, that it's going to have a benefit for me. But the problem is the benefit is not, it doesn't last. It's like smoking, the benefit becomes less and the pain becomes more, but it's harder to get out of it. So yeah. People in that situation, if you're in that situation and you realize I think I'm the dramatic one, which most people that aren't going to admit it, but getting away from that, people will respect you much more. So, and your pain will be less.
Yeah. Denise, I don't feel interest rates are going down anytime soon. The Fed isn't cutting anything, so get used to what you're paying. When you refinance, there are closing costs, and you need to make sure it's worth it to refinance. Yeah, that's the thing. People don't actually calculate it out, and you can just calculate it out. It's not that difficult. It's just basic math. So sit down and just figure out how long it's going to take before you recoup your closing costs. And if you think you're going to have the house longer than that, then you'll know. Sarah, I don't think I can pay 15 years, but I do keep putting like $500 to $1,000 extra on principal, depending on how much overtime I get each month. That's great.
Anytime you can put any extra on principal, do it, no matter how much it is. It'll pay off in the end.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Vicky, when we bought our house in 2001, our mortgage was $1,245. After we got no school tax, send me the next one. In our county, we saved $170 a month. Now our mortgage is $995. Very good. Chrissy, we are driving to Oklahoma to watch our granddaughters play travel ball, driving straight through and sharing an Airbnb with 5 others. Wow. Vicky, I went to my grandson's baptism at our local lake Sunday morning. I am going to my granddaughter and grandson's play and another grandson's graduation May 15th and 17th, and off to Arizona and Las Vegas on the 18th. Oh my goodness. Good grief. Kimberly, I feel so bad. I haven't been to one of my grandson's games, an hour away, and I don't drive. Hopefully I'll get to one this year. Yeah, that could be hard. Sarah, get a Zevo plug-in fly trap. I actually have one of those for the house, and it works great, and I love it.
We just have to have it, I guess,
Plugged
overnight.
Yeah, I just leave it in, plugged in all the time. It has taken care of all the bugs because I like to leave the doors open, and we don't have screens on all our doors. And so our house is situated so that we have to open the front door, which doesn't have a screen, and the back door, which does, to get a cross breeze in our house. And we need to put a whole house fan in. That's the best thing we ever had in any of our houses was, well, 2 things, a wood stove and a whole house fan. Those are the 2 things that I have loved the most in our houses. And we should just fork over the money and put one in, because every time I'm like, every time it's 80 degrees. So it's like 80 degrees in the house. You don't need to turn on the air conditioner. You just need to get the air moving through the house and it'll cool down. So it drives me nuts. But anyway, Robin, I've lived in my home 22 years. 3 years ago, my mortgage payment went from $1,500 to $2,100 a month due to homeowners insurance and taxes. Wow. Her car insurance went up $300, electricity $200. It was over a year before my mortgage went to $1,700, car insurance down. Oh my goodness. She went to the food pantry during that time. Yeah, I understand that. Amazing Grace. I'd rather pay for steak than medication that has side effects. Yeah, and that's fine. If that kind of a diet is something that you need to be on, I'm fine with you paying $200 a month to do it. You're right. It is cheaper than getting diabetes medication or antidepressants or whatever medication you may need that you're using this diet for. I actually have no problem with that. People think that I have a problem with that. That's not what I have a problem with. I have a problem when, first of all, they make it a religion. Second of all, they just hound every single person with it. And third, they complain about their grocery bill. Well, don't complain about your grocery bill. Not saying you do this, but don't complain to about your grocery bill if that's what you need to do. You don't complain about taking, well, some people complain about taking the medications. Like trying to think of a good example of that people don't. Well, yeah. I mean, people don't complain about going through Starbucks. You know.
The one above that, I was going to say something about that one. Scroll up a little more. Robin, lived in your house 22 years. A mortgage payment went up $600 a month and car insurance went up $300 a month. Electricity, $200 a month. So some of those things you might be able to impact. Like on the mortgage payment, I would find out why it went up, because for the most part, if it's going up, if it's not a variable rate, if it's a variable rate mortgage, you should be out of that. But if it's a fixed mortgage,
she said it's due to her insurance and taxes.
So you can shop around insurance and see if there's any way to get that any less. And you can call your insurance company and ask them. Of course, you want to make sure the insurance actually covers a problem. If you have one, there was something else. Shop around for car insurance, get a cheaper car. I don't know how old you are, but most places, if you're older than 65 or something, and you've lived in the same house for a certain amount of time, they will give you a major discount on the tax part of that. And if you don't know about that, you should go check. So the other thing is that if the property values are going up really high in your area, you might contact a local real estate person and just say, hey, I'm wondering if you can tell me, does it seem right that this house would be this value? And if not, you can go to the county and dispute that. And it's a little bit of a process, but they can actually bring down your assessed value if it's assessed too high. Also on the utilities, air conditioning at 78, heat at 68. And that will help cut on utilities also. Okay, let's see.
Please show us your haul. Okay, I will show us your haul. Right here. Who said that? That was Jennifer. Everybody won my haul, and I totally forgot about it because I just got on everything else. So let me show you my haul. So today was actually a bad garage selling day, but it was a very good garage selling day. So we went to 5 garage sales. Well, first of all, we couldn't find the first 2. Mom and I drove around the neighborhood, drove around. There was no garage sale that was supposedly there. So first 2, we didn't find anything. Then we went to one. I was like, oh, I don't know. I never find anything. And then I was like, oh, wait, no, I do find stuff at this garage sale. So maybe I'll try this one again. So we pulled over and look what I found. Hot dog. A KitchenAid mixer for $25.
Sorry, I'm trying to make a meme there.
Okay. Oh, very good. That's a great meme. KitchenAid mixer for $25 that works. Do I need a KitchenAid mixer? No, I don't. But do you want to know what I know? I know that I can take this KitchenAid mixer, put a little bit of degreaser on it, and get it all cleaned up. It was slightly dirty, not awful, just a little bit. I can turn around and sell this thing for $175 on my Facebook Marketplace here. So I just made an easy $150 with maybe 15 minutes worth of work. I was like, yes. The next one is Tupperware. I've also discovered in my town that they love Tupperware. So I got all of these pieces for $5, so $1 each. And I'm going to turn around, and I sold the last batch of Tupperware that I got for $5 a piece, and I paid $0.25 for them. I don't know if I have a picture of them. So I'm going to turn around and ask. I'm going to start at $10 because here's the thing. I had people waiting in line to get the other Tupperware, which means it's really super popular. Oh yeah, here it is. So here's, oops, hold on. Okay, so see all those little Tupperwares right there? I got all those for $0.25 at a garage sale. And I turned around and got $5 each for them. I made $40 on that set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, $40 on that set. And I had people lined up and waiting. Then we got this really cute Pioneer Woman tote bag for $3. And I looked this up, and this is going on eBay anywhere between $45 and $85.
Wow.
I was like, hot dog, although I might keep this one. This one's actually really organized well. I was really impressed. And then this isn't a garage sale find, but this is the best of it all. So remember Wednesday, I was telling you I was helping my friend clean out her basement. And she had this silverware. And it's a 12-piece set, and it looks like it might be a complete set. I didn't go through and see, but there's enough pieces there that I think it might be a 12-piece set. Guys, comment and tell me how much you think this silverware is going for. I'm curious to see if anybody has any idea how much it's going for. I was so excited today when I looked it up. And she just gave me that silverware for helping her out, which is great. Miss Reynolds says $125, Sarah $50, Janet $70, Miriam $200. Is it real silver? It's stainless. $250, Shirley says. $300, MLE says. Louise says $150. Vicky $200. Keep guessing, guys. You're all low. Georgina, $300 to $500. Give me a couple more guesses. Bounty the Badlands, $125. I couldn't believe it. Dee Dee. Shirley, 500. Shirley's getting closer. JS, $1,000.
Wow.
So I looked it up on eBay and several other places. And if I buy it in the 4 setting for 12 people individually, it's over $900. And if I can get one with the 12-piece set, there was one for $300, but it wasn't quite the same. And then I found another one that was mine, and it was $500 to $750. Used.
Wow.
That's not new. That's used.
Jonathan says $1, Bob. He's afraid to overbid.
Jonathan. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? So thank you, Crystal. Which, it's fine. It's 1820 stainless. So I was super, super excited because I need new silverware. I'm not going to sell it. I need new silverware. And so I'm just going to use it. And that's how I get nice things like that, is just keeping my eyes out for things that I could use. Jennifer, I love both 1 and 2. I bought them last Black Friday. I have donated almost all my other cookbooks. I used to collect cookbooks, but yours have all I need. Thank you. Yes. All the basics: muffins, tortillas, cookies, cakes, white cake, yellow cake, devil food cake, how to make bread, how to make taco seasoning, how to make fajitas, scrambled eggs, pancakes, waffles. As a matter of fact, I think on my other cooking channel, Super Easy Recipes, I'm thinking about doing a series as soon as Mother's Day is over on all the basics. Just doing like a 30-day series or a 60-day series on all the basic recipes. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think I should do that? I think I should, because I have a feeling people are going to start finally waking up to the fact you just can't eat out all the time. You're going to have to learn how to make this stuff. And he doesn't want to be on camera, but I should have Jack do it.
On which thing?
Do all the basics of cooking and have Jack be the one cooking it as I'm telling him how to do it.
Yeah.
Because that would be a great way for me to give tips and tricks for someone who's never cooked before.
Yep.
Wouldn't it?
Yep.
That's what I thought. Maybe one of his friends would want to do it if he doesn't want to. I could pay one of his friends to do it.
Yeah, they probably would.
They probably would do that.
Famous.
I could probably do that. Naomi says she's making her my roast sticky chicken. Isn't that delicious? Oh my goodness. That is the most, and it's so easy. It's literally 5-minute recipe. Dining on a Dime Cookbook, Volume 1. It's also on our website, livingonadime.com, if you just want to try the recipe out. So easy. Nathaniel, I refuse to owe money on a house. I would pay cash for a mobile home. I don't care about equity or anything. I just need to survive with no debt, being disabled. See, you are the poster child of living on a dime. You are the poster child. One of these days I need to interview you, because you are making do with what you have. And I am so proud of you. You don't let your disability be a whining time. Feel sorry for me. You're actually being proactive with what you can and what you can do. And that's what everybody's got to do. It doesn't matter. Pretty much when I saw Nick, what's his name? The guy with no legs and arms. I can't remember. It starts with a V. He's from Australia. When I saw him doing inspirational videos and making a living doing motivational speeches, I'm like, if someone with no legs and no arms,
Nick Vujicic?
Vujchenko.
It looks like Vujicic.
Vujicic?
Yep.
Buijcic.
Bujicic.
He's able to do that because he tried to figure out what he could do. And so you're doing the same thing. That is great. Sob says, hey guys, been missing you, but catching up on the next day. Thank you. Karen, the grandkids games are a full-time job with overtime. Yeah, no kidding. My goodness. Jennifer, I live in Minnesota with a reckless governor who took us from 18 billion surplus to 16 billion or to a 6 billion deficit. One of his solutions is to raise property taxes. Oh my goodness. Minnesota and Michigan have absolutely lost their minds. They've absolutely lost their minds. I'm sorry if you live there, but those governments are just ridiculous. Nancy says, I look like I smashed a frog with the cleanup. Yeah, no, I didn't. Joyce, Nathaniel, that is what I did. I own my mobile home and my car, and it feels wonderful. I have a beautiful half acre in the country. Yeah, people think there's something wrong with owning a mobile home. There's nothing wrong with owning a mobile home if that's what you can afford and you can make it look really nice. We've lived in a mobile home. Well, basically, it was a modular set on a foundation.
It wasn't attached to the foundation like it was supposed to be.
It was a toilet. It was an absolute toilet when we rented the house. And there was literally 6 feet of trash in the yard. The white sink and toilet and bathtub were black because they had never cleaned it. It was awful, absolutely disgusting. And that was before we knew better to sue the landlord. But we exchanged rent for cleaning it up for him. We made the do with what we can. I got it cleaned up. I did the best I could. I planted flowers. I hung up curtains. And I made the best that I could. And there are a lot of people. We have one viewer. She has really made her mobile home really super nice. Just slowly over time, as she's had money, she's been fixing it up. And you can do that. Let's see. Hello, Kellen family. Simon's Human says, we live in the most expensive southern state, Central North Carolina, built a house very cheap in 1993. Now our county has gone up 30% in housing appraisal. Very safe area, need to sell. Wow. Denise, what should a person who has given serious financial advice to adult children, yet they refuse to be frugal and turn to other family members for sympathy and handouts? Do you stay quiet? Well, so it kind of depends. So if they are going to your grandmother or your brother or sister, and if they're going to like your mother, their grandparents, or their aunts and uncles or cousins or whatever, and they're giving them a sob story saying how this is so awful, blah, blah, blah. And then those people are coming to you saying, did you know so-and-so is asking for money? Why aren't you helping so-and-so? They're your kid. Then yeah, you can say something. If those other people, if it's like their grandparents and they're taking advantage of the grandparents, I would definitely say something to the grandparents. The aunt and uncle, you don't necessarily have to say anything. Now, for this whole thing, if you do say something, I would say something once, you warn them, that's it. They're going to have to learn their lesson the hard way if they don't take the advice.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they make excuses for the family that's playing for sympathy. They give them money and then they make excuses and say, oh, my so-and-so is having such a hard time. They're just always so unlucky. They have hard times and they have struggles and that if they're making excuses for them, then they're just going to get mad at you if you tell them that. So you might tell them once, and then after that, just, okay, if you choose to put all of your money towards this person who's just not taking care of themselves, that's on you.
And yeah, and I will
tell
say,
them, like Tara said, if maybe once or twice, just to see, make sure they know that they're being taken advantage of.
I was going to say, I would lean towards saying something to them once to warn them. But after that, I wouldn't say anything. And it's like Mike and I were discussing a situation kind of similar to that, a little bit different situation last night. And this person or persons were being taken advantage of. And Mike said, well, they didn't have anyone to warn them about this situation. I said, hello. I very much warned them several months ago about this situation.
Oh, yeah, that.
And they chose not to take the advice. And now it has caused a lot of problems. Well, you know, I'm not going to sit there and say I told you so, but and I'm not going to discuss it with them unless they come to me needing to know something. But you know, sometimes people just don't want to hear it. So, you send me the next one. Denise, I would pray for them. It's their choice. Yeah, definitely pray over the situation. Also, Amazing Grace, we had an alarm on our water heater in our old basement in case it ever leaked. Yep. Donna loves our cookbooks. Thank you so much, Donna. Emily, Tara, your complexion looks flawless. Thank you so much. I'm actually trying a new foundation because I got ticked off at Maybelline. I used to wear Maybelline, and I am trying Laura Geller. So how does it look? Do I look flawless?
Ooh,
do you see the wrinkles?
You do look flawless.
What? You don't see any wrinkles?
Where?
See?
Where?
The wrinkles are invisible.
What? Where?
I'm trying that Laura Geller. It was on sale on Amazon. This is only the second time I've worn it. At first, when I put it on, I was like, well, is this even doing anything? But then when I went back and looked at the video later, I was like, well, actually, it doesn't look too bad on video. So I think I might go ahead and keep it. So next one. So thank you for that. Tina, I'm new, not to make this long. What to do if you are in a toxic job and the market is not good in this small time? My home is paid off, car's paid off, no debt. I am head home of.
I was unclear what that was.
Maybe she means head of the house, maybe. But a toxic job. Okay, I'm not quite sure what your question is. If you're still on here, you can re-put it in there and we'll look at it again. But what do you do if you're in a toxic job and everything's paid off? Listen, when you're in a toxic job, the first thing to remember is this is a job to bring me money to pay for the bills in my life, to pay for the things in my life. You don't owe this job anything. This job is not your life. This job is not in control of you. Meaning, if they expect you to use your personal phone on off hours to answer calls, emails, whatever, no, that's not happening. You are not, unless you're salaried to do that and you're compensated for it, you are not obligated to work for a business off hours when they're not paying you. If the manager and all them are really awful, then I would just keep telling myself, okay, I'm just doing my job so that I have money to pay my bills. Get your resume up, get whatever skills you need to get something else, and just start looking and just keep looking. You need to have a full-time job looking for another full-time job. So if you're working 8 hours a day, you need to be working 4 to 6 hours in the evening looking for another job. You can do that. So I don't know what the full question was there. Did she ever come up again with what it was? It was Tina. Let's see if Tina said anything on here. I don't see it yet.
Not yet.
So if you want to re-put your question in there, then I can maybe answer a little bit. But yes, it is extremely frustrating, and I totally understand that.
Well, and the thing with toxic jobs is I would do your best to get out of it as quick as you can.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's no other option that you can get another option, but it's hard to get it and you'll have to be working on that. And you may have to stick with the old one for a little bit and try to figure out how to make that work. But the toxic job situation is just going to make you miserable. And so if you can figure out a way to replace that as quick as you can, that'd be great.
Yep.
But, and also I wasn't sure if the question might've been also a stay-at-home mom type question. Like if you have a husband who's making a pretty good money and you have no bills and those other things, then you might not need to get another job, because sometimes the cost of working that job is more than what you're actually making after you take off taxes and payroll deductions and extra clothes for work and all that stuff.
Yep.
So that would be another consideration if you're married and your husband is making a pretty good
Another
amount of
Tina
money.
says, I have one of those alarms similar to my chest freezer based on temperature. Yes, that's a good idea for your chest too. Yep, that's a great idea. Miriam, I have a hole in the foundation wall. What cement product did you use to close it up?
I don't think we ever dealt with it, now that I think about it.
We put something in there.
Did we?
Yeah.
I should go look and see.
I don't remember
I can't
what
remember.
we put in there. It's not a huge hole, but
it was already sort of sealed, but it just
Yeah.
wasn't sealed enough. We might
have to Google that one.
Well, I would go to, so at our Home Depot, at almost every home place that I've known, there's one guy or one person there who's the problem solver who can solve all problems. If you can find out who that person is at that store, go ask that person. That's what I do. I go down there's a guy at our Home Depot here that if I have any problems at all, I go down there. I know him by name and he recognizes me the minute I come in the store. I even know kind of his schedules.
Yeah. Amazing Grace, are your cleaning solutions recipes in your cookbook or on your website? So we have a whole chapter of cleaning solutions. Thank you for answering that or asking that question. And all of those recipes, or a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them are on our website, livingonadime.com. Just search in homemade cleaners or cleaner, and you will find it at livingonadime.com. I put the top 5 cleaners, I think, that I use in that post. Simon's Human, you never really own your own house, even if it's paid off, because taxes keep going up. Locals in North Carolina, central living, seriously cheaper in many parts of NYS, where we are from, New York, I guess, central North Carolina, liberal now. Yeah.
Well, and one thing about the taxes, because a lot of people talk about taxes, if you stay in that house, then you can't really control the taxes too much. But the way that they calculate the values of houses is averaging. It's an average setup. And so you can check and see if your house is actually worth as much as the county thinks. And if not, you can go to the county and challenge that. But another thing you can do is if you're willing to move, you can go to a cheaper place. And one thing I would think of if you're considering buying a house, as far as taxes, typically, if you live in a city, you're going to pay the highest taxes. Of course, if you live in a city in a blue state, you're really going to pay the highest taxes. So if you want to pay less taxes, you can be outside of the city, there are all sorts of taxing areas, but it's largely schools are usually the number one expense on people's property tax. And city expenses, if you're living in a county, there are no city expenses. If you're living in a certain city and they may have an extra tax for public transportation or various other things like that. And if you live out in the country, you don't have those. So basically living outside of a city is a good way to have a lot lower tax. You have the inconvenience of you have to go into the city, but the cities raise taxes in order to provide things that people want that live in that city. So yeah.
Before we get to the next question, guys, our Mother's Day sale is on sale right now. This is the last few days of the sale. It ends Monday, the last few days. So if you want our cookbooks, our Mother's Day sale and Black Friday are the 2 lowest prices of the year. So go grab them right now. Cheese and coffee, I agree, Mike. 30-year gives more flexibility in case of an unexpected emergency. Yeah, and we've had the unexpected emergency happen all the time. So that's why we do it that way. Linnell, interest rate doesn't matter. It's the price you pay for the home. Yeah, I mean, yes and no. It does matter, but in the end, I think it all washes out. It's just kind of what you got to deal with, whatever you've got at that time.
Well, and I think what she's saying is if you buy a house that's way more house than you need, then the interest rate isn't the issue. The issue is you have basically you can choose whatever you want to do as a house. But if you have a house that's kind of only what you need and not a lot of extra, then you're going to pay less in taxes and you'll pay less in mortgage. You'll pay less in everything, pay less in repairs. So yeah, that's a good thing to consider. If you have a really big house and it's just you or just 2 people, maybe you want to get a smaller house outside of a city where the taxes are cheaper.
Michelle took her mom to the zoo. She has a membership for her and a guest. That is a great idea for Mother's Day. Claire says, we write a separate check altogether and be sure to keep excellent track of it. I think she's talking about her interest her taxes and interest, her taxes and insurance. Mm-hmm. Donna, we paid extra on principal. Very good. Badlands, cities in Alberta, property taxes are nuts. Rural is way cheaper. Yep. Everything for her: home quarters, irrigation, house, outbuildings, corrals, $1,800 a year. That's great. Jesus and coffee drama is just an attention issue. You can't fight spiritual battles in a conventional way. Yep. Georgina, the gluten-free one is super. Thank you. It is our green book right here. My friend that I gave it to loves it. Thank you for that testimonial. We really appreciate your testimonials because it helps other people know we're not just spewing things saying how great our own cookbook is. It's been around 25 years. Let me tell you, you don't have a cookbook around for 25 years and not have it continually never be out of print for 25 years. Let that sink in. We have not been out of print for 25 years. I think there's only a very minute amount of cookbooks that can say that. One of them is probably, I'm sure, Betty Crocker, Better Homes and Gardens. But I don't even know if Martha can say that on all of her cookbooks.
I don't know.
Or even some of her cookbooks. I know. Joyce says, I made your Cool Whip chocolate velvet cookies. So yummy. Thank you. Can you see the next one? Shirley, my daughter-in-law wants private school costs loads to send child to private school from 5 to 16. It's about $300,000. She's a teacher and knows state schools are bad. Well, then that's a decision she needs to make. And quite frankly, I think it's worth the amount to pay for it if she can. I mean, $300,000, that would be divided by 11, $27,000 a year. Maybe she needs to move to another state where they're cheaper, because I know private schools around us and in Colorado when we were there, they are anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000. So I can't believe it sounds like she's getting a really fancy schmancy private school for that.
Yeah, $30,000 would be a lot.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy expensive. She's getting something that's ridiculous, because I know here in Wyoming and then in Colorado, private schools go anywhere from $6,000 a year to 10 or so. Cheryl says, get a magnetic screen door. They work great. Yeah, but I don't want that on the front of my house. Looks really tacky.
You mean the one with the magnets in the middle that snap shut when you walk through?
I don't want that on the front of the house, but everybody thinks I got a great deal. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm going to turn around and get that mixer on upcycle tomorrow. I got worn out garage selling this morning because then Mom and I went to the Amish, which is 40 miles away from us, to go get plants each way. Not quite sure it was worth it. Well, it was worth it because they had a whole bunch of different plants that Walmart and Home Depot don't have. So it was worth it, but it was just a long morning. So yeah. Everybody says I got great finds. Thank you. Amazing Grace says buy it and sell it, buy some cheap silverware. Yeah, I probably could do that if I wanted to. It is newer silverware. Yeah, it is newer silverware. Then my next door neighbor will never open windows, and I hear her air conditioner running even when it's 45 degrees because she refuses to open the window. Drives me up the wall. I know. Me too.
Everyone's got a neighbor like that.
I know. We know people who refuse to open any of the curtains in their house. Or like, just let some light in. You won't have to turn on any lights. But yeah, I guess they just like that. That's fine. Michelle, you never realized how many people who don't know how to fry an egg. I did learn a few years ago. Yeah, how to fry an egg. That's a good one for another video. I think I might do that. Just a series on how to cook. I don't know how well those videos would do, but if we have another thing going around happen again, like in 2020, super easy.
Super easy. Might work.
We remember, because during that thing going around in 2020, it was scrambled eggs was our number one video.
Yep.
McClare says Jack would be perfect. Yeah, Jack would be perfect. Although my kids don't really like being in my videos too much now that they're getting older, which is fine. Darlene, a video of you making an omelet. Oh, and today a Sunday's Mother's Day.
Oh yeah, I guess I better be.
And maybe you could film yourself making my Mother's Day omelet while I'm snoozing in bed. Oh, we got to go to church early on Sunday though.
That's fine. I'll just get up at 5.
Oh, crud. I forgot about that. Oh, shoot.
Let me just.
Jen, we have had water in 2 basements in our marriage. Pretty sure my husband has a bit of PTSD due to it. Yeah, I get it. Sorry, I said this the other day. Bundle your car and house insurance and you'll save. Yes, sometimes that does help.
Oh, on the omelet thing, little pro tip on that. If you live in a place that has a salad bar at a grocery store, that's great for omelets. What's the matter? Oh, did I accidentally unplug your?
Something happened.
Oh, well,
it's fine.
Could this be what happened?
Oh yeah, that's what happened.
For some reason, all the wires ended up in a place today where I'm tripping on them.
Yeah. Oh, how to poach an egg, Belinda. Man, you guys are giving me such good ideas. Maybe I should do that. I don't think they do very well in the early term, but I think long term they might do really well.
The omelet pro tip I was going to say is if you live in a place where there's a grocery store that has a salad bar.
Is that even a thing anymore?
We had it in Kansas.
Well, that was 15 years ago.
Well, the store's still there and they still have a salad bar.
Oh, they do?
So okay. I would sometimes go for omelets. I like to put a lot of little things in it because I think Tara likes them that way.
I do.
With like black olives and onions and maybe, I don't know, cilantro, but all kinds of little things, little different kinds of cheeses and things. And I would go to the salad bar and get the little salad dressing cups and I would just put a little of each thing in there. And then I would take it home and just dump each one into the omelet.
Yeah, just an FYI, we have all those things right now.
Little chopped bits of ham or whatever.
I even bought eggs today.
You bought all that already?
No, I didn't buy it for my Mother's Day thing. No. I had it for other recipes that I was doing for videos.
So. No, so a lot of times what I'll do is before I go to the store on anything, I'll just look through the fridge and see what kind of things we have that would be good in an omelet.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see. Did you send me the next one? Okay. She loves my shirt. Thank you, Georgina. Don, you don't realize how many people don't know basic methods of cooking. Yeah, that's true. I'm kind of thinking that. Belinda, happy Mother's Day to all the amazing moms out there. Yes, happy Mother's Day to everyone. Sadly, her mother passed away. Oh, on New Year's Day. I am so sorry. Yes. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. Yep. Sorry for you, though, Belinda.
Sorry to hear that for all of those of you who've lost your moms.
Yes. Jesus and Coffee, the Australian evangelist. Yeah, he's an evangelist, motivational type speaker, both. She loves him. Yes, he's really good to listen to. He is on YouTube. Jennifer says, I would love it if Jack would do the series. I have 2 teenage boys. I wonder if I paid Jack. He might do it for pay.
Well, he's not.
He doesn't mind being in the videos too much. Well, he sneaks in all the time and purposely gets in there for some of them. So he must not mind it too much, but I don't know. I'll ask him and see. That's actually a good idea. Nathaniel, my hobby is repairing and servicing vacuum cleaners. Good job. I have done it for friends and they paid me for it. Even fixed up some and turned around to sell it. That is great. That's a great idea. Yeah. Like I used to do sewing machines. We lived in Idaho. This was eBay first started. Literally, 2 years eBay had been around? A year?
Something like that, yeah.
I went back to Kansas and found a sewing machine, a Bernina, for $30. All refurbished, everything. Brought it home, was going to use it for myself. Looked something up on the internet, found they were selling for $500 on eBay. You can guarantee that thing was listed the next day. We learned how to use eBay. Real quick.
What wasn't I already using eBay?
You might have been. And so then the next time we went to Kansas, how many did I get the next time? I got like 3 or 4 the next time, and brought them home and put it. And there was a time where I was selling sewing machines on eBay.
She was the sewing machine queen.
And we used part of that to pay off our debt.
Yeah, we did a lot of things like that to pay off debt. Just kind of looking at where we discovered little cash opportunities.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Let's see. All right. D, can't lie. I'm tired of people who think that everyone owes them something. Oh my goodness. Mike and I were talking about that just before the show. Yeah. Sandy, my own brother was enabled into his 30s. My grandmother just couldn't let him learn for himself. Yeah. Valley Badlands. Tara, I see lots of YouTubers posting their food bank hauls. I never watch them, but what do you think of them? I'm embarrassed to post that. I think, well, I actually have two sides of this.
They're posting it on their iPhone 16.
Yeah. I kind of have two trains of thought on this. My first train of thought is, do you really need to be going to the food bank? 95% of the people who go to the food bank, I'm sure, don't need to be going there. I'm sure. You can yell at me all you want, but I'm sure 95% of the people who need to be going there don't. But there's the other side of me, the entrepreneurial side, that's like, well, hey, they're using this as a way to up their income and bring in more income. So in a way, that's actually a really good idea and a great way to
I don't have to go to the food bank anymore.
Not go to the food bank anymore. But then what are they going to do for videos if they don't have to go to the food bank anymore? So I don't know. If they're going and getting it and they don't really need it, no, I'm not okay with that. But then at the same time, the entrepreneurial side says, well, that's a great way for them to bring in some more income. So why not? Robin, yes, follow the 6878 temp suggestions for our home, saves money. Yes. If you're cool, put on a sweater. If you're hot, turn on a fan. I have a fan that I keep in the living room because sometimes it's just stuffy and you think you're hot and it's not. You're just stuffy because there's no air movement. Claire says Laura Geller makes fantastic products. Oh, so you like her stuff. That's good. This is the first time I've ever tried her foundation. So yeah. Sarah, I have a small hole in the ceiling at the steps going upstairs. I was asking a friend at work if he'd fix it for me. He said he fell off a ladder one time on steps. Another friend of mine said he'd do it, but now I'm scared he'd fall. What should I do? I don't want to pay someone.
I'd let the friend that said he'd do it.
But here's the thing. You can get, you can pay $100 and get a stair step thing. And that would be cheaper. Stair, oh wait, here's stair ladder leveler. That's what it is. Okay, so here, this thing right here. Let's see, is it in, how do I show this? Okay, right here. See this thing here? Hold on, let me pull it up. You can get this thing, and then that makes it a whole lot safer. But I'll tell you what I did. Now, this is just my experience. This is not advice. This is not legal representation for what you should do. But this is what I did. I am not a medical professional. I am not a stair hole repair person professional. But
fact checkers have checked your statement that you're about to make.
When I had to paint the stairs or the wall above the stairs, I discovered a concrete block, you know, the regular concrete blocks with the two holes in the top, is the same size as a stair riser. So I put a concrete block on the stairs. Then the ladder was level. And I had Jack or Dave on the bottom holding the ladder, and their foot was on the concrete. Their foot was pushing the concrete block. The ladder, they were holding the ladder. Dave was freaking out. Jack did fine. But you know what?
She's not doing it. She's asking if...
I know, but do you know what he said? Dave was concerned that I was going to die. Wasn't that nice of him? Nice. He's like, Mother, please don't do this. I don't want you to die. I was like, oh, thank you. Actually, it ended up being very stable. It was very, very stable. It didn't move to the point that I did it by myself when I had to hang a picture one day and nobody was home.
Although Tara's not always the most sane in those situations.
I'm not the most sane in those situations, yes. But you can get something like that, and that would be way cheaper than having to pay someone to do it.
So wait, did she say on stairs? I didn't catch that part.
She said on stairs.
Well, the thing I would say is if there's somebody a guy who said he'd do it for you, I mean,
let him do it.
I would let him do it unless he's the kind of guy that's like, Cletus, hold my beer. because most people that are pretty confident about doing it and are fairly responsible at most things in their lives, they know how to do it in a way that's probably not going to get them killed.
You should have seen what the contractors were doing when they were doing our kitchen remodel, because we asked them. They put so we have the stairwell and the railing on this side. They put the ladder on this side of the railing, leaning up against the railing, up against the wall. And I was like, okay, that's sketchy. But he said they do it all the time. I'm like, I wouldn't do that. But
like, I would do things like that for people maybe. But I would just be careful how I did it. And some people who've fallen off a ladder and hurt themselves, they have a reason to be more concerned. Yeah, but if you're really, if a person is very careful and typically pretty responsible about stuff and they want to do it, I would just let them.
Yep. Dee Dee says, the other day, my supervisor gave me the afternoon off. I actually spent the time relaxing and reading our cookbooks. A very nice read. Thank you. I am shocked. That is one thing I never thought when I wrote the cookbook that people would just sit down and read them. But we have tons of tips. There's over 700 tips, recipes, jokes. We've got all kinds of fun stuff in there.
And again, it's on sale right now till Monday, and it's the lowest price of the year. So if you think you might want one, you might want to go check it out before it expires.
Yep. Tanya says, I saw the weirdest thing, a hot air balloon going on the water. I don't know why I never saw that before till just now. Huh, that's interesting. Let's see. Pink Pisces says, you couple are hard to keep up. To just watch World Dominance, Tara and Mike. Well, you mean because we're putting out so many videos?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
I was thinking what I thought was just watching the World Domination one. That was a pretty funny one.
Michelle says, my aunt and uncle downsized their house after my cousins grew up and moved out. Yep, you can do that. Now, that's what's funny is as our kids were getting older, we upsized, but anyway, Vicky, we moved incorporated county in 2001, a county with nothing around us. We have everything around us and still incorporated county with no city taxes. That's a great idea.
Well, actually, it's funny because when we were in Kansas, we moved from one place to another place in the Wichita area. And where we were moving was there was a really, really nice town, but it was too expensive for us. So we bought a house literally 1 mile out of town. Yeah. And the cost was like 25% of the cost of the houses in the city there in that little city. But we were able to go to those places, the stores and the parks and everything that was in the city by driving a mile. So it was totally worth it to be just a mile out of town. And even now, that's still outside of the city there.
Yeah.
Like how many years later? 14 years later. So that's a great idea.
Mike says the year of Tupperware is important. Old Tupperware is not food safe. How old if Tupperware is unsafe and why? I don't know. I don't care. If people want to buy it, that's up to them to figure out if they want it or not. Because a lot of people buy that stuff to collect it. So I'm not like my uranium glass that I got. I didn't know it was unsafe until all you guys told me that. But I keep it anyway because I like the look of it and I think it's cool.
Is there any reason to think that old Tupperware would be bad? I've never heard that before.
Just goes back to yesterday's video, and I'm not going on that rant again.
Okay.
I'm not.
If you're wondering, go watch yesterday's video after the show.
What a difference in hair, Tara, from the World Domination video where your hair was getting long, although I like the style you have now. Actually, I haven't cut my hair since then. I just got a perm. So that's why it looks shorter. It's actually the same length. It just gone up because of the perm. But thank you. Pink Pisces says, I guess I have to bug you about your aprons. I would still love them. We probably won't do aprons again because it was kind of a pain in the rear to ship them.
Our problem with shipping them is that books ship at a lower rate.
Yeah.
But people would order like a whole ton of books and an apron. And so it would have to go at the apron rate, which was which made it cost like $50 to ship a
Yeah.
package that would otherwise be $15. Yeah.
Yeah. Belinda, any dinner ideas for tonight? I'm thinking homemade burgers and salad. That sounds good. Go for it. That's what I
She just
would
had an
do.
update. She said, just looked in the freezer, decided we're having homemade cheeseburgers. Have mini bread rolls and raw burger patties in the freezer. Salad
Go
fixings
for it.
in the fridge. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
Go for it. That's what I would do. Arthur says, start by explaining the difference between boiling and simmering, LOL. I know. Yeah. But I mean, really, people don't know that. Juanita says, pumpkin and Thai eggplant curry from scratch tonight. Yum. Linda, layering clothes with cold. Can you see the next one? Works wonders to save on heating. Yes, it does.
Wait, you have 6, didn't you?
I just read that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just read 6.
I mean, I can send you the 3 comments I've currently got here.
All right. Stephanie did not get the notification that we were here. I am sorry.
Oops,
Naomi,
that's one
what
of
is
them.
this year's world domination going to be? I don't know. What should I dominate the world today? I've already decided I'm going to dominate heaven and be the headmaster gardener in heaven. I've already decided that. And I found Bible verses to back me up. I found Bible verses to back me up.
You're going to be the chief gardener in heaven? That's a big job. You'll have a long time to do it, too.
I know. That's what I'm thinking. And so, let me see. Where was I think it was Isaiah. Let's see. Where was that? Was this it?
I'm not sure what verse you're speaking of.
I can't remember which one it was. But anyway, I marked it in my Bible because I was like, I'm going to read that on the show, showing that I'm going to have world domination, heaven domination, be the head gardener in heaven. I don't know what I'm going to do here on earth, though, this year. Let's see. Okay, next question.
So you've read most of the ones on that?
Nathaniel says, I live on SSI $900 a month with my parents, pay $500 a month for my portion of rent, and I'm able to buy food, no food stamps, never went to the food bank. We all help each other and buy our own food. Very good. That is a great way to do it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great. Maria, do we ever find out how much you got for those shoes way back, the gym shoes? No, she never sold them. So I gave them back to my friend and she never sold them.
What? People leaving money on the table. It's like
that's all I'm saying about that.
It's like our friend with the CDs. Leaving money on the table. I'd never leave money on the table. If we have a chance, if we have something we're not using and it's got we think it has a lot of value, it gets sold immediately.
Yep.
So it wasn't gathering anymore because they're coming in slower than your reading.
So Michelle says, does heaven last for eternity?
Yes.
According to the
Forever
Bible,
and
it
ever,
does.
It never ends.
Basically. I mean, we're going to have a new heaven and a new earth, but basically that's, going to last forever. So,
that's why the song says, when we've been there 10,000 years, we've no less days to sing God's praises when we first begun. So, yeah.
Yep. Forever and ever. Vicky, my friend's husband supplies peat coffee in the grocery store. He gives us free coffee. Gives us free coffee. You're in my personal bubble.
I was unbubbling. You.
But you came into my
bubble.
You
hooked your chair onto my chair, so I was undoing it.
You came into my bubble. Poor Mike. Oh.
She keeps me tough. That's what it is.
Yeah. Vicky. Vicky says, my husband supplies peat coffee at the grocery stores. He gives us free coffee and it's expired. We have been drinking it for over 2 years and don't freeze it. Yeah. Coffee's fine for years and years and years. You're good on that. Amanda wants to be chief master cook. Cindy says, we had loaded potatoes this evening, chili, broccoli, potatoes, and cheese. Oh, that sounds good. Bernadine says, when I first got volume 1, I sat down and read it. My hubby thought I'd lost it. He took it back at Thanksgiving and Christmas when I used it. The turkey and ham turned out great. Thank you. Isn't our turkey recipe, that's Mom's turkey recipe, the best turkey recipe ever in the entire world? This is the only turkey recipe you will ever need, not dried out.
Always juicy.
Even Jack at school was bragging to his friends about his mom's turkey is never dried out, and they need to try his mom's turkey.
Jack has the whole cookbook.
He sold the whole school
sales pitch down. He really can do. That's hilarious.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. Robin's been eating from her fridge, freezer, and pantry the past few weeks. Decided to use some of her stockpile instead of spending money on groceries. Very good. Vicky, he told me that it is good a year from roasted expiration date. Yeah, I'd say longer than that that's the coffee that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Vicky says, I pulled new shoes out of my closet today and listed them on eBay. Good job.
Yeah, if you've got something sitting in a closet somewhere and you're not going to use it and it has value, get rid of it. Get some money for that. Use that money to pay off debt or save up or invest in something.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. I just thought of something. So I paid $25 for the mixer. I can sell it on Upcycle tomorrow for $175.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent $130 getting plants today for Mother's Day. Since I earned all that plant money, does that mean I get additional plants for Mother's Day for my Mother's Day present?
I told you have no limit on your plants. On your plants.
Only if I turn English?
Yeah. Actually, that's a joke about what was the show? There's a show with gardeners that do investigating.
Oh, Rosemary Time.
Rosemary Time. It's good. It's a good show, but I always joke about if you want to be real gardeners, you have to say plants, not plants.
Jesus of Coffee says it's the best turkey. Thank you. We made it Tara's way every year for the past 8 years. After doing this recipe for 30 years, can it be my recipe now? Not just my mom's.
Which one?
The turkey recipe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
You give me permission.
Yes.
Crystal, what kind of tissues did you say were comfortable and worth the money? It is the right here. Now, I got the men's because I need wide, but the women's were really nice also. And it is the Fresh Foam New Balance, and I am putting my affiliate link in there right now so you can see them for yourself. Now, like I said, I have an extra wide foot, so I had to get the men's, but the women's was very comfortable also. They just weren't wide enough for me, and I knew they were going to pinch my toes. Bounty Badlands, I was going to make homemade pizza and clean some branding leftovers for supper, but hubby has a bad cold, so chicken soup and grilled cheese. Yum, that sounds good. I have to say, I do miss grilled cheese going gluten-free. Steve, being retired, my car, house, health insurance is a killer. Yeah, it can be. Belinda might do a baked potato bar for Mother's Day, dinner tomorrow evening. Yep, that's a great idea. Vicky says, I think it will be awesome to spend eternity with Jesus. Yes, it will.
Mm-hmm.
It will. And Shirley says she loves Rosemary Time. Yeah, I wish they wouldn't have stopped so soon.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we like a lot of English shows, but a lot of them, for the way that their system works over there, it'll be going great, and all of a sudden the network just won't make anymore.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if it's a show that's like a continuing story, it'll just suddenly cut in the middle and never finish. So yeah. So Rosemary Time only had 2 seasons, didn't it?
Yeah. Jay No More, I sold my old guitars for some more than I paid for them. Yeah, I've done that with a lot of things. Yep. Mike says, if you're in heaven, being there, this Mike, For eternity will not scare you once you're there. Yeah, you need to be more scared of going to hell than going to heaven.
Because it also lasts for eternity.
Because it lasts for eternity too. So I'd rather spend eternity with Jesus, which is why I gave my life to Christ, than spend it in hell and turn away from him. So, yeah. Amy says, Tara, you mentioned the fresh foam a few videos back. So I got a pair. They came today. They are so comfy for my tired feet. Yeah, they've really helped a lot. It's okay, Amy. Spell check does that all the time. Kayla, is the Free Methodist Church a good denomination?
I would probably not.
Most Methodists are not now. I don't know about the Free Methodists, but if they are really pushing all of these liberal agendas, if they have gay pastors, if they have women pastors, do not go to church that has women pastors. That's unbiblical. Do not go to a church that marries gays. Do not go to church that is... The problem is it's really hard to find a church now. Go to livingonadime.com. At the top, click video resources. Can you put the link in there? And we'll give you, there's a church locator in, and there might be.
What am I doing? Sorry, I was.
Here, I'll just do it. There might be some churches on there. Let me go see if let me go check real quick and make sure that he's still got the church locator up. Because oh yeah. Okay. Here's our resources, and you can go look for a church here on this list. There's a church locator that another pastor has vetted some churches, but it is very difficult to find a strictly Bible believing church now. And that's what you want to do. So,
well, and one thing I would say is if a church, the Bible is inerrant, it's God's word. There are no mistakes in there. If the Bible believes that it's not God's word, or that there's something, or if the church believes that it's not God's word, or there's other stuff that's also God's word, or whatever, then you would want to stay away from that church.
Yeah.
Particularly a lot of those churches, and when you say Free Methodist, I haven't heard of that specifically.
Well,
but
KS says they are conservative. So if they are conservative and they're not a liberal church, then it might be okay. But just those are some
you'd
red
want to
flags.
Look at,
yeah.
And what I would typically do is go to their website and look for a statement of faith. And the statement of faith has to say a lot of things like the Bible is the sole authority for what God has said to us, and everything that you think God is telling you should line up with that. It should say, that Jesus came to pay the price for us, something along those lines, and we have to have a relationship with Him for that to be true, or for us to be saved. Should say that Jesus was born of a virgin, because that's clearly a non. It's a thing in the Bible that's just, it's not up for debate. Some things are up for debate, like should women have head coverings or not? Like that's completely up for debate. That's not a critical function of what a church should believe. But a lot of churches, and most of the ones that call themselves a Methodist,
I would not do a Free Methodist church. Just from a brief overview, they're really big into social justice. While, yes, all people should be equally treated. Like, we don't discriminate by race or color or what you do in the bedroom, anything like that. You don't discriminate against that, but you don't promote certain things like those either. And the other thing is they are very big on a one world church that says acknowledging the equal role of all cultures and ethnicities in God's work. Yes, that's true in one sense, in that as a Christian in Africa or Scotland or Mexico or Canada, yes, we are all one church. But if you are saying that all denominations of church, like Latter-day Saints and Jehovah's Witnesses, are all the same as Christians, it's not. So that's where you have to
global
be careful.
church.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So what we noticed is that there are a lot of like universalist type churches, which means that they basically think all roads lead to heaven. That is entirely untrue according to the Bible. And so basically they're throwing the Bible out the window. And if the church is not based on the Bible, then they're just making up what they believe. And they're just they're pulling it out of the air.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the church needs to be Bible based. It needs to have the Bible. The Bible is God's word to us. And if you can't trust the Bible, then everything you say you believe, if you call yourself a Christian, you're just making it up.
Go look at the church locator and you might be able to find one in your area.
And Kayla's had some trouble before. I might be able to.
Oh, was it Kayla that asked that?
Yeah.
We can look again for you, Kayla, and see, but.
Yeah, because unfortunately it's hard to find, but basically a Bible church is what you're looking for. Yeah. And when Tara was talking about social justice, I just want to make a comment on that. The devil uses slight tweaks in language to make something sound good that's not. And a lot of language has been hijacked that's good language. And justice is really important to God. God talks all about justice all the time. And injustice that's currently the case, he will make it all right in the end. But, and also he makes it clear that he made everyone of all the different, what we call races, but I would say we're all the same race. But he makes it clear that he doesn't put up with discrimination on that. So like at one point, Moses's brother and sister God called him out because they didn't like his wife and she was a Cushite, which means, I think, from Somalia. So I think the Bible is suggesting that she was black and that they had a problem with that. And God gave Moses' sister leprosy for a little while just to say, hey, what you did is totally wrong. And I don't approve of that at all. So that's one example of where God is basically saying, I don't put up with racial problems, with people discriminating on other people because of things like that. But so God has justice and God doesn't believe in discrimination because of like who you are. But social justice kind of is a phraseology that's basically saying we're going to elevate certain people and mistreat other people because of what they perceive as injustice before. And it's true that there are injustices, but it's just where the devil takes this like thing that's kind of wholesome and then just twists it slightly to make it unwholesome. So it's terrible what's happened to a lot of people throughout history, but now it's not okay to discriminate against other people because of what happened in the past. So that's kind of the difference between, God justice and social justice.
So here's a big one. Eric says, should a church be talking in tongues? I've been told yes and told no.
It's well, if they say to be saved, you're required to speak in tongues, then that's wrong.
Yes.
I think it's okay for churches to. I think it's okay if God is really leading someone to speak in tongues. I just think that in my own experience, I don't know that I've ever actually seen it where I believe that's really what was happening.
Because the Bible says that if someone is speaking in tongues, there's going to be an interpreter there that will understand what is being said. And I've never experienced that in a church that I've gone to.
Yeah.
So I'm not understanding what they're saying. So because I can't understand what they're saying.
And there's no interpreter.
There's no interpreter. Then that tells me it's not from God. Because God is God of order. And he doesn't just want a bunch of babbling in church. But yes, you can speak in tongues, but there is a certain order that God expects us to do that in.
So I would say it's possible. It's possible that a legitimate church might have speaking in tongues, but the churches that are specifically saying evidence of your faith is speaking in tongues, they're not right. That's wrong.
Kimmy's on.
Kimmy, long time no see.
I need to call you.
You probably talked to Kimmy
I have
more
not.
recently
I
than
have not actually. We have both been busy making videos.
You caught us right at the end, Kimmy, but we're glad you made it.
We have both been busy making videos. Melinda, I just finished seasons of Shakespeare and Hathaway. Sad. Is that good? I like clean British shows. Are there any you recommend besides Rosemary and Thyme? Clean British shows. I'm having a hard time thinking of any off the top of my head.
There was a movie we saw, and I can't remember what it was, with a girl who was living, or like a young 20-something girl who was living in the Outer Hebrides Islands, and I think somebody came there, and it was this kind of cutesy little romance, where it was like she had never, there were hardly any people on the islands there. I forgot what it was. It was really cute back in the day.
There was, if you like suspenses, the Caribbean show.
Oh, you're talking about Death in Paradise?
Death in Paradise is good. That was a good one. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Kimmy. We miss you too. We should still have y'all out of here sometime.
Yeah. And Karen says if church preaches that Jesus was just a prophet, run. Yeah, that means you're right. It's not a good church. Desert Lady says, I'm moving your lives. Love that you're interjecting the Bible. I think she means missing. Thank you. Belinda, yes, she is a Bible-based church. That's very good. All right, let's see. Trying to get through the last of the comments here real quick to see if there's anything that I'm... Pam says, love listening to Hank Hanegraaff. He's a Bible answerman. Yeah, he used to be good, but I would not listen to him anymore. He's totally gone off the rails.
Yeah, sorry. It was sad because I used to like to listen to him too, although sometimes he seemed like he was being kind of pharisaical back in the day, although he's kind of completely swung the other way now. So yeah, we used to like listening to him, but not anymore.
Yeah. Lisa says her favorite show is called The Midwife. I don't know how clean that is, but yeah. I watched it a couple of times and it got a little gory, but it wasn't horrible.
Well, and Shirley's talking about Doc Martin. We did like Doc Martin for a while, but then they started getting into a lot of kind of adult themes and stuff like that we didn't think was family friendly. So
yeah,
it was an engaging show.
The first couple of years it was good, but then yeah. Jesus and Coffee would love it if we would make a video dedicated good family shows and movies you watch. I can't stand the garbage. Yes, she said she literally watches Little House on the Prairie and the Waltons on repeat. Yeah, we do the same with Newhart. I had actually thought about doing that, and I do have a list of some movies, I think on our website, that let me see if I can find it. That were on Amazon. These are Christmas movies.
You haven't updated it in a long time though.
We should probably update it for just regular shows. Maybe I'll work on that here in a little bit.
Crystal here is asking, what do we think of I thought it was Christian health here in general, but it looks like you're asking specifically about MediShare. We're going through infertility. It seems like so much paperwork and wondering if it's worth the savings. We don't use MediShare specifically.
We use Zion.
We use a health share called Zion.
Stay away from Liberty.
Yeah, don't go to Liberty Health Share. And I think MediShare is good from what I understand. It's just a lot pricier than the other health shares, but partly they're one of the ones where they're still cheaper than a lot of insurances, but they're kind of a more submit all of your bills and get some portion of it back. We opted for one where it pays nothing until it's $1,000, and then it pays everything related to that issue. So like if you have knee pain and it ends up needing surgery, it pays for all of that once it goes over $1,000. We like it because it's a whole lot simpler. For what you're talking about, infertility, only certain ones would cover that. I don't know. I'm not sure which ones would.
I don't know
how they cover the infertility treatments.
Definitely don't have a problem with that. I'm sorry. I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean that to be rude. I'm just saying, never had any experience with that.
So I don't know if it would be worth the savings. You'd have to kind of do the math on that. I do know MediShare is cheaper than regular insurance, but because they offer so much stuff, it's not as inexpensive as a lot of others. Although I don't know how they handle that, but a lot of the ones, like the one we're on, things that they would consider optional, it wouldn't cover. So I don't know if fertility treatments would be considered, I don't know, optional or not.
Naomi says, all creatures great and small is a great one. Yes, Mom absolutely loves that. Belinda, what do we think of Tim Keller? So I would say he used to be fairly good, but then he really turned towards the end. And I personally have no use for him. I have no use for a lot of people that a lot of people like because of some of the things that they have said along the years over different things and done. So
Basically,
my advice,
when they start going off what the Bible says, is where it becomes a problem.
My advice is read the Bible for yourself. Just read the Bible for yourself. We have a list on that list of resources that we gave. We'll give it again. Can you put the list of resources in there again? Do you still have it? Those pastors have so far been solid Bible preaching pastors. But read the Bible for yourself. Just sit down and read it. Ask God to help you understand it. If you don't understand some things, get a version like a New Living Translation or an NIV or an ESV that you can understand. And all of those. Patricia, what do you think of Tony Evans? I think that he negated actually every single thing that he's done because he had an affair.
Oh, that I didn't hear about that.
So, yeah, the thing is, he was a good preacher, but if you're a good preacher while you're having an affair, I have a big problem with that. That's the way with this whole Daystar thing. Everyone keeps talking about how great Marcus Lamb was at Daystar. No, he wasn't. They act like he's some kind of a saint that died, and then his wife just went off the rails after he died. That's not true. The man had an affair for 7 years. He should not have been in charge of that church. It is registered as a church. According to the U.S. income tax government, IRS, the IRS. According to the IRS, it is a church.
Which one are you talking about?
Daystar.
I thought you were talking about Tony Evans.
So
switch gears, sorry.
If Daystar is registered as a church and the man is having an affair, he is completely absolved of all being a pastor ever again for the rest of his life. Any of these pastors who have had an affair, you should never, ever be a pastor again, period. You can teach a Bible study. You can attend the church. That's fine.
After you've been restored, you can teach a Bible study.
Yeah. After. Yeah, exactly.
If you are restored.
After you have done the work to heal your marriage, to heal your relationship with your kids, your wife, if she's left you, which is fine if she's left you, but to heal your relationship with your kids, the church, all of that, then you can lead a Bible study. But if you have an affair, no pastor should ever go back into the pulpit. And so I have a really big problem with that. I really do. So that's why I'm like, just read the Bible for yourself.
Actually, if you read the whole Bible yourself, many of those questions will be answered. And I know it's a big challenge. Some people think of it as more daunting than it maybe is. But I would say, again, we mentioned this yesterday, but I would read the whole thing. But just to give yourself a sense of what it's actually all about, if you start with John really summarizes a lot of like why Jesus came and what he was. He summarizes a lot of basically what the whole Bible is really about. Romans, also great deal of explanation about how to interpret the entire Bible, and Hebrews has a lot of great stuff on that too. So what might be good is to read. Well, Hebrews is more difficult to read, and it's a lot of it was written to the Jews, so a lot of it has to do with Old Testament things that if you don't understand, it might be a little more confusing. But I would read those 3 books, and then I would read the entire thing. And if you get stuck like in the Old Testament, so the Old Testament is before Jesus came, was written before Jesus came, and the New Testament shortly after he rose. If you get to the Old Testament, which is, the before Jesus stuff. If you get stuck on it, I would read some there and some in the New Testament together. That way you're constantly moving forward, but you don't have to linger every single day in the parts that are really difficult. So.
Yeah. And I would say Les Feldnick and Charles Stanley I would stick with those two if you're going to listen to anybody. Thank you, Jesus and coffee. Those two are everything that I've ever heard from them are right on track. His son, Andy Stanley, do not even go close to him. I really felt sorry for Charles Stanley after his son just totally went off the rails. But yeah, Les Belnick and Charles Stanley are two very good, solid preachers. Jennifer, is it okay some days to read a few chapters of the Bible and other days just a verse or two? Yes, it is fine. Don't let false guilt get to you. Just that's false guilt. So don't worry about it.
Belinda, is healthcare similar to what health insurance is in Australia? So probably. Well, no, health insurance in the United States is insurance, and that our government kind of messed it up because they required insurance to be able to offer insurance at all in the United States. Americans have to, the insurance companies cover all these things that most Americans don't need. So you're paying for all this stuff that you will never use potentially. And it's super, super expensive because of that. And people that have jobs, their companies pay a lot of it and they don't realize how much their companies are paying. And so in that case, they're getting paid less at their jobs than they might be getting paid if the insurance didn't cost so much. Health share is an option that's legal in the U.S. It's primarily church type organizations that operate based on the biblical principle that believers take care of each other. It's where it's sharing money into accounts that then that group organizes and pays out to people's medical bills, but they typically have restrictions and don't cover things that are like anti-biblical or things that have optional things like plastic surgery wouldn't be covered, different things like that. So health share is cheaper because it doesn't cover certain types of things, but it's basically similar to insurance, and it does have, the good ones have some sort of accountability structure in place. So in that case, you know, your bills get covered.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rez says Charles Stanley did support his son, Andy. Yes, he did. And I do have a problem with that, I will tell you. But, you know, when you're 95 years old and your son, or 90 years old, however he was, and your son is going off the deep end, I can see why he wouldn't publicly go against his son. You know, I can kind of understand that.
Well, everybody loves his son.
And
you love your son.
You love your son.
So you don't want to.
So you may not agree with him, but you don't want to publicly shame him either. And so I can let that go because I could see how that could possibly have been the case. Paul Liebauer is really good. His son and his daughter-in-law do Garden Answers channel. He has channel through Bible with Pastor Paul. He's out of Calvary Chapel, Ontario. Yeah, Calvary Chapels, a lot of them are good. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Let's see. There was a question about Kay. Oh, what do I think of Kay Arthur? I don't know Kay Arthur. I've never done any of her Bible studies, so I don't know anything about her. I used to do Beth Moore Bible studies. I will never have anything to do with Beth Moore again. She's totally gone off the road deep end also. I'm like, I don't know. No, do not go anywhere near Stephen Furtick. I would not watch him at all. Todd White, I would stay away from him. Benny Hinn for sure. So yeah, so some of those places, Tori says Kay Arthur is solid from what I understand. She might be, I just don't know anything about her, so I can't recommend her one way or another. So she may be.
We also like Mike Winger a lot.
Yeah, Mike Winger's good.
He's not actually
he doesn't really do Bible studies, but
he does do some studies, but he mostly answers questions about Bible things. And lately he's been doing, he's not one of those ministries that looks at other people's ministries all the time and says, look at what they're doing wrong. But right now he's been doing some investigating on certain ministries that are clearly way off the rails,
Ken Copeland,
explaining why and showing video from those people and stuff. But he also just generally answers a lot of Bible questions, which is really, really great. And he is super on target. He's really humble. He's not proud in his response, and he's just a great guy. So Mike Winger, I would definitely recommend him. He's not preaching, though. If you want preaching, it's more Charles Stanley. You said Les Feldick. I don't know anything about him, really but Tara likes him. So I'm curious. I haven't heard. I don't know if Chuck Swindoll's stuff is still on the radio, but back in the day, I used to listen. Good. Yeah, listen to him a lot.
What about Seventh-day Adventists?
Seventh-day Adventists have some interesting. They understand. I wouldn't know, but they have an interesting. They have a. When I've talked to them, they sound like they have a fairly good understanding of what the Bible actually says, but then they have other things that they've added that are just not scriptural. Like they have a lady they call a prophet, Ellen G. White, and she's not a prophet, and she's made all sorts of claims about things that did not come true. And the Bible says when a person claims to be a prophet, makes claims about things and those things don't happen, that you should not listen to them. So they have what seems like a good understanding of the Bible, but then there are other things that they've added as doctrine that are just not okay. So I wouldn't go with that.
Yeah.
I have friends that are Seventh-day Adventists. I like them, but it's not scripturally correct. And the thing is, if you go with something that's not scripturally correct, you could feel good about it. But if you're not honoring God by what he's actually told us to be true, and you're going against that, then ultimately you're failing.
Yeah.
You're going to believe the wrong thing, and you're going to be led astray. So.
What about Elizabeth Elliot? I've only heard a couple of her recordings, and everything I heard sounded solid, but I don't know a lot about her, but I have heard hers. Belinda says, oh my goodness, we have free medical care in Australia, although some doctor specialists charge fees and some very kindly bulk bill for pensioners, children under 16. Thanks for explaining. Yeah, although it's not free. You pay for it with your taxes.
Yeah, our taxes are way lower because our healthcare isn't rolled in.
Yeah, and we have friends who are Canadian, and they were like, they immigrated to the U.S., and they were like, yeah, we have 25% more income doing the same exact job with the same exact income, and we have 25% more money because our taxes are so much lower. So it's not free.
The reason why there's been resistance to public healthcare, like government controlling it in the United States, is because our government is notoriously inefficient at everything. So if the government does it, it would cost you 5 to 10 times as much as it costs you to pay. In fact, the mandatory healthcare stuff that the government has mandated has kind of moved us in that direction, because now the way that it's kind of structured, other people it's inefficient and expensive, and people are making decisions about your health that if they decide, I think the more you get to the government controlling it, the more it is somebody else is deciding whether or not you really need to be treated. And that's fine if you're the kind of person that goes into the emergency room for a headache all the time. But if you have a serious medical problem, and they're just like, you know what, we don't really think that this is important enough for us to cover that, that's a problem. So that's kind of the difference. That's why there's a lot of resistance in the US to having the government control that kind of thing, is because the government will then say, you have to do these things that we want you to do. And we prefer to have the freedom to choose on those things.
Jess says, what do you think about the book of Enoch and the books taken out of the Bible? Should they be read?
Well, those books were not in the Bible. So should they be read? Some books like Enoch are considered to be, they've never been considered to be scripture. They've never been in the Bible. But Jewish people have considered them not scriptural, but useful for some historical perspective of some sort. So it may be okay to read something like Enoch, recognizing this is not scripture. This is not from God. I've read it just to know what it is. And it's clear when you read it, it doesn't sound like scripture. It doesn't line up with the rest of the Bible in that sense. I'm not quite sure what it is that the Jewish people thought were historically interesting, but it's never been considered to be scripture or inspired by God, essentially. So the other ones, there are a lot of fake things that people like to talk about that they say were removed from scripture. They were never in scripture because they didn't line up. And when I say they didn't line up, what I mean is there were things that were clearly wrong. Like the person whose name was on it, it was clear that they didn't write it. Or what it said completely contradicted everything else in scripture. And for instance, when something contradicts, people can argue like what they think should have been in scripture or not. But the entire canon of the Old Testament that Jews recognized, Jesus himself recognized it and quoted from almost all of it. So if you believe Jesus is who he said he was, then the Old Testament is pretty much bulletproof. For how the New Testament was formed, people sometimes disagree on that, but it is inspired by God. And ultimately, God has his Bible the way he wants it. But when you talk about the way that people decided, they actually looked at the books and looked to see, are they consistent with the Old Testament? Are they consistent with what Jesus said when he was here? And then a lot of those other ones are just mainly they're frauds. Most of the time they're written by people. Like there's a book of Judas Iscariot. Well, Judas Iscariot hanged himself before he would have been able to write the book. And there's just a lot of books like that that people have, way in the ancient days, they wrote their own versions just to try to be famous. So that's what I would say about that, is those are not real.
Yeah. Jack Hibbs and Amir Safate are both very good people you can listen to. They are very Bible-based. Shirley says, the book of Job, have you read it? Yes, we have.
Sorry, Belinda, do you know what the other books they talk about in James? I'm not sure. I don't recall hearing about the other books that James talked about. However, I do know that there are things that were not scriptural that were referenced in scripture, like in the Old Testament. It says, oh, if you want to know more about it, like in Kings and Chronicles, it says, hey, if you want to know more about this, then be sure and read I forgot, but it's like the story of the kings and the kings of Israel or something. There are other books that it refers to. They're not scripture, but they're just more or less for more historical detail about things that aren't actually canon of scripture.
Melinda, do we do live shows every Friday? No, we are doing a special series of live shows because we're having our Mother's Day sale. You can get our cookbooks right now up to 50% off at livingonadime.com. We are going to go back to our Wednesday live shows once a week on Living on a Dime. Starting next week, we're going to have one Monday to finish our Mother's Day sale, and then Wednesday we're going to have our regular shows again. Jesus.
So Monday will be a special show. Wednesday will be back to our regular Wednesday schedule.
That's what I said. Jesus and Coffee. It's not really biblical for women to be pastors, but there's nothing wrong with them being teachers. Yes, that is correct. Yes, Belinda, I know you probably realize you pay for it with your taxes, but there are a lot of people who do not realize that they pay for it with their taxes. So I just wanted to explain that for people who don't understand. Dee Dee, I'm personally really glad to see that general religion is back in the White House. Well, okay. Yeah, kind of. I mean, Trump isn't anti-religion like Biden was, but Paula White as the advisor is not good at all. That's not even good to being close. So while it looks good, and I understand the sentiment behind it, she's not very good either. Tori says,
but I do think that the White House in general is friendly to God and to believers and to Israel
and Christians in general.
And I think that President Trump has a soft spot for believers and for the things of God, even though I'm not sure he understands the full biblical. He understands what the Bible says because Paula White has some views that she's his main advisor, has some views that are not scriptural. So I think they're friendly to Christians and to faith in God and to Israel. And I think those are really important things. But I certainly wouldn't have a White House Bible study.
Tori says, Todd Friel has a channel called Wretched here on YouTube. Yes, Wretched is very good and very sound biblically, everything that I have heard. I do not know what the essential church is. Dr. J. Caprita. I don't know, Stephanie, who that would be. Spencer Smith is very biblically sound. He is a little on the legalistic side, but he at least is biblically sound. So yeah, I mean, at this point, you just got to get somebody who's very biblically sound. At this point, it's hard to find a lot. Jules, I don't know what the Living Hope Church is. Do you know what it was?
I don't know. I do know. I also generally trust gotquestions.org, and a lot of church movements and things that are maybe have some uncertainty about whether they're good or not, they kind of break it down pretty well. So I would sometimes look there if I don't know. Mike Winger occasionally comments on them. He's not a person that normally spends a lot of time on that. Although right now he's looking at abuses in certain church groups and talking about that. So,
all right, guys, please check out our Mother's Day sale right now. 50% off our sets for our cookbooks. 40% off our individual cookbooks, including our price books, which we don't have very many left. Livingonadime.com is where you can see them. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Yes,
we will see you guys Monday.
Bye.